Hey guys, welcome to the first episode of the Sketchbook Traveler podcast. I am your host, Chris Jaser, animation artist, 3D artist, and person on the internet. So I wanted to welcome you guys to the first podcast. I've been wanting to do podcasting as well as getting back into creating videos for a while now. But of course, with everything that's been going on, it was tough to start. But I'm not also using that as an excuse. I also admit too, I felt lost with my own content. I think it was mostly because of how I am looking at my own content. Like I was comparing myself to others, as well as when I was creating art and animation and videos. I gotta be honest, it just felt like work. I mean, which it is work. No matter what you do, whatever your passions are, it will always feel like work. What I was finding though, I think was a lot of it was the formatting for me. It didn't feel really genuine. It didn't feel like, this is a Chris Jaser art video. Or this didn't feel like a Sketchbook Traveler podcast. It just felt like a character of myself versus a genuine self. So I'm hoping moving forward that the content I'm creating is something that I feel is genuine to myself. I was doing it for others versus doing it for myself, which kind of brings me to the topic of today, which is how can one overcome their own self-doubt and find inspiration again? I don't know if you've seen this movie, but it's called Kiki's Delivery Service by Studio Ghibli. It's really one of my favorite films growing up. And in fact, I watched it recently, and it's always a film that it's a great reminder for myself, as well as the animation is amazing, the storytelling is so good, the voice acting, it always revigorates me creatively. If you haven't seen it, it's about Kiki, who's trying to prove herself as a witch. She moved out of her parents' home to a seaside town. She starts a delivery service, delivering package via flying. Kiki continues to work, not even taking time for herself or even friends, with rude customers and not making a lot of money, living off of pancake mix, comparing her situation to others. Work starts to take a toll on her. She slowly loses her ability to fly. Kiki has to learn how to overcome her own doubts and learn to love flying again. Well, for me, watching this film, something clicked that I haven't realized. This whole film is about what happens when you do what you love for a living, but you lost the love for it. As Kiki said in the movie, flying used to be fun until I started doing it for a living. We think that as a creative person that having a creative job is fun. Heck, I remember watching those behind the scene animated movies with Disney, like The Lion King, Beauty and the Beast. And you see all these animators, they're smiling, they're enthusiastic about the project, and you see them traveling and exploring things, getting ideas for the film. And you're just seeing that and man, I want that job. I want to do that for a living. And that was something that always inspired me, is that I really want to do this. I really want to try that. They look like they're having so much fun. Yet, the reality is that it's still a job. It's still work. You will have negative coworkers or people not satisfied with the work you're doing. and wanting more from you for less. It's one of those things that, as somebody who's been a professional artist for the last decade, and it's really, I'm really showing my age a little bit when I say that, but it's the reality of working as a 3D artist. You realize that, you know, it's still a desk job. It might not be punching numbers, it might not be an accountant, you might not be writing code or filling out business expenses, but you're still at a desk making stuff for somebody else. Those thoughts move inward by comparing yourself to others, something that I have still struggled with to that day. Because like the thing is though with creatives like myself is that, you know, you have critiques, you work with your art director, your manager, or whoever, you work with a team of people and you showcase your work and you have critiques and you will have conversations about what's looking great, what's looking good, as well as the bad. Like, this is not working, this is not looking as great. And over time, and I know for myself, sometimes I will think to myself, oh, I don't need those critiques. They don't bother me as much. They still do. In fact, it took me 2 years into Wayfair to realize that, you know, a lot of the people who are giving me critiques are trying to help me become better. And for a while, I was taken to the point where I was taking it a little bit too personally and just trying to prove myself, but in reality, they were just trying to help me. But sometimes those thoughts can still linger on. Sometimes it's that little negative voice in your head that says like, it's not good enough. It's not great enough. Why even bothering trying to do this? And plus two, the job that you might be doing that you were excited the first couple months for, after 6 months, a year, maybe 2 years of doing the same things over and over and over again, and it just seems like you're not progressing. All of a sudden you find yourself in a rut and you find yourself not being as inspired anymore. So how can one overcome their own self-doubt and finding inspiration again? Especially too when you're a person who spends all day creating and then you come home to do creative projects again. It's like, I'm sure if you're listening to this right now, if you ever came home from a class or if you ever came home from working, whether you're working as a graphic designer or an animator or a 3D artist like myself, and then you are trying to convince yourself, oh, come on, Chris, gotta go work on that creative project that you're working on. Spend the time to actually do it. You're gonna find yourself going, I am tired. I just spent all day. I just got stuck on a train for the last hour, having to go through Boston traffic, just to be able to catch the 7:53 before it left the station. And you come home and you're just like, I don't have the mental capacity to work, to produce anything. What do you do? And then sometimes too, you just might be so burnt out that just the thing that you love doing the most, you just don't want to bother with it. You lose the inspiration to create. In the film, Kiki's friend Ursula said it best on how to really find your inspiration again. It's so counterintuitive that you kind of go, wait, what? Like, no, I'm trying to do this. I want to get better at this. I'm tired of feeling this way, but I'm just stuck. She says this: just stop trying. Take long walks, look at scenery, doze off at noon. Don't ever think about flying. And then pretty soon you'll be flying again. I think the joy of flying for Kiki in this film was clouded by the negative association with her business. Taking us a step back to just enjoy and experience life outside of flying. I think we as creatives kind of throw ourselves 110% into our work. We find ourselves so tunnel vision into doing the task, the thing that we want to do, the things that we feel like we have a joy, that we don't do anything else. We don't talk with friends. We don't hang out with our families. We don't play guitar, for example. Like, I play guitar. I don't play as much anymore, but I'm trying to get myself back into it. We don't go outside. We don't take a walk. We don't take the time to recharge after a long day of producing. And I think it's because mostly from us is that, we sometimes think that we have to showcase that we're hardworking, we're passionate about the thing. We have to keep hustling, keep pushing, keep everything going because we don't want to be a starving artist. I feel like that's one of our fears, is that we don't want to be a starving artist. We don't want to be a failure to people. And it's almost kind of like Kiki. Like, she didn't want to come home to her parents as a failure of her becoming a witch, a professional witch. She didn't want that for herself. And so she needed to continue to prove that she can be a creative, be a professional witch that can make money doing the thing that she loves doing, which is flying. But the problem with that is that what fuels, well, for her is magic, and for us is creativity. What fuels that is life experience. You have to go out and you have to explore, you have to take moments and just recharge. Literally going out and doing non-creative things. It's so weird to say because, you think to yourself, well, I have to be creative all the time. I have to be. But just like how you think, oh, I have a ton of battery on that iPad. I need to work on this iPad for hours on end. I don't need to recharge that thing. It's going to die because it's going to run out of battery. So why do we think that creativity is limitless? And the other thing is, too, when we start out as creatives, we're training. We're thinking of how to improve our craft. How do we go about possibly making money? Or how do we focus on making our draftsmanship better? How do we just improve overall creatively? I mean, heck, there's a whole art community on YouTube. In fact, you can even just type, how can I draw? And you'll see a whole list of like how to draw hands, how to draw postures. And in fact, even a lot of these YouTube videos, including ones I made, were focused on how to do this and how to improve on that. But the thing is, though, is that we have to get to a point where we have to move on from training and the lights, the notoriety, or or the following on social media, for example. I mean, even Kiki says she got so caught up in all the training and stuff. She thinks maybe I have to find my own inspiration. Even myself, I feel like one of the main reasons I haven't been consistently posting content on my social media, on my YouTube channel, on this podcast. I mean, this is the first podcast, and I've been thinking about doing the podcast since November. I honestly wasn't getting as excited with what I was creating because I was using other people's inspiration and not my own. Like, I'll use YouTube as an example. When I first started doing YouTube videos, I wanted to be like the next Jaser, or the next Peter McKinnon, the next Casey Neistat, the next Gary Vee. People that I look up to and I get a lot of inspiration from, because I like watch their videos and I'm like, oh, I could do that. Oh, I could do this. Oh, I could definitely do that. But then I feel like, well, I'm not feeling genuine. I don't feel that it's my voice coming forward. It's a Peter McKinnon copycat. It's a Gary Vee copycat. It's a Draw with Jaser copycat mentality. In fact, Ursula says, you see, I haven't figured out what or why I wanted to paint. I had to discover my own style. And I feel like that's something, and all of us were really striving for, is finding our own voice and finding our own style, finding something that represents who we are as a creative person. But here's kind of a kicker. Here's a good example. Well, I will say that doing YouTube videos and doing Instagram posts and doing fan art and drawings or tutorials and whatnot have been a bit of a challenge for me. The one area that I found myself consistently, in fact, I counted this. Since I started, I've been consistent about doing this for 9 months. 9 months. And deep diving, like getting up early, still getting up early. God, so many hours getting up early. I could easily fall asleep, but I still get up anyway, and I still get at it. Is my Webtoon comics, Molly's Follies, Curse of the Skinwalker. I've been consistently drawing that comic for 9 months versus making YouTube videos, making animations, making things for social media, etc. I've been consistently doing this for 9 months, posting every 2 weeks. And I figured out why. For me, the story that I developed, the story that I'm writing for this, is for myself. It's a story that for me is enthusiasm, and I mean, it's literally something that I'm visually seeing this in my head, and I want to read it personally. Like, I want to actually print this out and make it my own book, just so I can have it on the shelf so I can read it every so often. It's a story that's like, I really just wanted to get done and really just showcase this story and share it. And whether or not people read it, it's gonna happen. That's fine. I'm okay with that. I'm not worried about the number of views or the number of followers. I appreciate the fact there are 165, last time I counted, are watching it. But I think what makes this different compared to doing YouTube videos that were inspired by other people is that this is stuff that I wanted to do, because this comics is in my own style. It's in my own words. It's in my own experiences. And the characters I developed, I fell in love with the moment I drew them up. And the story I fell in love with because it's so compelling to me in my mind, and I'm like, oh my god, I just want to share this. And it just fills me with so much creative, oh my god, I gotta share it. Like it's almost kind of like when you first meet the love of your life and you gotta tell everybody about her. It's like, oh, she's amazing, she does this, we both have the same interest in that. And while I'm saying this because I'm also engaged, but there are times too that, you know, even though you've been with the same person for that long time, you know, yeah, that's not gonna be as enthralling as the first day you met. But every single time too, I just look and I still smile. I still enjoy the fact that I'm engaged to this girl. It's almost kind of that same feeling. Like this comic, even though I've been working on this for the last 2 years and I've been working on this for the last 9 months, it's still exciting. It's still something that is still enthralling me to continue to create. And that's something that I wanted for this comic. And overall, is that I'm not craving the likes and the follows. I just want to see the story come out and see it come to life. Versus if I was trying to recreate, I'll give the example of a very popular comic on Webtoon. It's called Lord Olympus. If I was trying to recreate that in kind of her style and her look and her views and kind of similar story, or maybe change it up a little bit, I don't think that story would last 9 months. I don't think that story would be lasting, heck, even 3 months, because it's somebody else's inspiration and not my own. That's what I think it means to find your own inspiration, is that it's something that you should be going after for yourself. Something that, like, you're just creating it because you just want to see it come out in the world. And sometimes too, if you're hustling on something and you're just working so hard, yeah, you might have to just take a break from it. Like a great example, recently, I just kind of realized this, especially with my new job. I used to love 3D modeling in 3ds Max and Maya. In fact, that was the first time in high school when I modeled something for the first time and animated it in 3D. I was just like, oh my god, this is something I want to do for the rest of my life. And that's how I became a 3D artist, funny enough. But over the years, I was working at companies that, while they were great to work at the time, over time, I started to lose my enthrallment of 3D modeling. I didn't really enjoy it anymore because I was associating it with work and negative things with work. So I kind of let go of 3D modeling for a while and focused on drawing and animating traditionally. It wasn't until recently with this job that I had to model a lamp from like scratch. That I found myself getting back in the zone of it. I found myself just like creatively interested in modeling again. It was really interesting to see, because when I was burnt out, I remember saying I'm never touching modeling again. I'm not going to model anything more. I am completely burnt out. These companies, like past job experiences I've had, burnt me out. And that's how I truly felt. I felt like I was completely burnt out to the point that there was no way that I would ever touch 3D modeling again. But I think what happened, even though like I got back into it, it's because I haven't touched it in so long. But I also feel like too, the fact that I get to use my new knowledge that I've used from other things, so like texturing and creating realistic lighting for 3D photography, other experiences like that, and then jumping back into 3D modeling, all of a sudden, like, okay, I remember how to do this, I remember how to do that. It was rekindling of a joy for 3D again. And I also feel like too that with my new job, that since I work from home all the time now, I have a little bit more creative control. I'm a little more have more autonomy, because I'm not like constantly in meetings. I'm not having to travel and not during time constraints or whatnot. I can focus on the task at hand to create it. And I'm working with people who have a positive vibe overall and who are thrilled to see how I'm developing these things and give really good feedback and ways to improve that it encouraged me to go at it. I almost am thinking that for myself, I am less of a cog in the machine and becoming more of a machine in a sense. Just that feeling that, hey, I am creating again in 3D. I feel like that's what's really kind of pushing me forward now with 3D modeling. I've never thought in a million years I would be doing 3D modeling again. I've taught it in the past. I've worked as a 3D modeler for the longest time. Got burnt really bad, and I thought I would never pick that up again, but now I'm doing it again. But sometimes, just like wounds, you gotta let them heal. You gotta let them just scab up, heal up, become a nice little scar. This is like the most gross analogy ever, but you just gotta allow it to heal and allow yourself to heal. Sometimes you might not heal from it, and that's okay. But I feel like as a creative, you just gotta create what you love as a love letter for yourself. And if it takes about half a decade for you to get back into 3D modeling after not doing it for so long, then it might take that long. But if you really love it, it will come sooner. And I feel like too, I think we're also really connected in this world, and I think it's a great thing. But I think it's also allowing us to see what others have and compare ourselves. It really takes a lot of effort to not compare yourself. And I feel like sometimes you have to do is just really just look deep inside yourself and just be like, what do I really love to do? What do I really enjoy? What do I find enthrallment with? What would I create just for myself, or to share with friends, or to share with somebody that you really care about too? Not because you are trying to impress them or trying to to show off your skills, but you just like, I created this. This is so awesome. I love this thing. I need to share it with everybody else. When's the last time you were like that? When was the last time you thought to yourself that this is something amazing? That's what finding your own inspiration is that feeling between, this is amazing, I so cannot wait to share this with people. So that's how you find your inspiration. You just have to look in yourself and don't worry about trends. Don't worry about whether or not this will land you a job. Because I am definitely proof of somebody who just created stuff just for the sake of creating and had found success through doing that. Is just create what you love and just share it with the world. Don't worry about the likes. Don't worry about whether or not people will enjoy it. Take criticism as criticism. They're trying to help you become a better artist. Don't take it personally. Just keep creating and just find your own inspiration. With that said, thank you so much for listening to the first episode of the Sketchbook Traveler, or if you're watching this on YouTube, thank you for watching and seeing the final drawing I'm working on right now. If you want to see more of these, definitely let me know down in the comments and what's your takeaway from this. As always, guys, I'm just gonna keep repeating this. Just make art that you love. Stay creative. Until next time, guys, take care.